welcome to the Swansea podcast. We've got James Brehaut from Sussex, and Horsham's his home club. So welcome, James. And we've got Chris Gibson from Cornwall, both new to Swansea Cricket Club. So Gibbo, you back in Cardiff, I believe?
Yeah, just got back last night. Bit of a late night drive for me last night.
Good stuff. Was it? I'm guessing not too busy, but maybe roadworks.
Just a nightmare coming in. That was it. It was all good all the way up to Cardiff, and then I got sent the wrong direction. I had no idea where I was going. I ended up driving 20 miles out of the way, so it wasn't ideal coming back in. But apart from that, it was a lovely drive up.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And Jim, you've been back in Cardiff a while now, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been about two and a bit months now. Like straight after New Year's, I hop back. So yeah.
And you've been smashing the Strava, but I've seen your numbers on the running group. You've done a half marathon as well, haven't you, or marathon?
Yeah, half marathon on Saturday. Just thought, as we were in lockdown, I didn't really have anything else to do. I don't have a bike here or anything, so I couldn't do much cycling. So I just sort of decided to get the miles in and start running. I ended up doing it for a foundation called the Three Bears Foundation. It's for raising money for pancreatic cancer and stuff. Which is close to the hockey club at university, so decided just to give it a go and see how I got on.
Fair play, Brad. Like that's a really good cause and stuff, and be keeping you in sort of good nick. I spoke to a couple of the other guys during the lockdown, and if if you're not getting out and if you're stuck in the house all the time, especially I guess as a student, you guys, you've got a lot of work to catch up on. I think the fresh air and trying to get out to do a bit of exercise is probably keeping you sane at the moment, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Just getting out and about, isn't it? It's just trying to keep yourself occupied. It's not easy, but yeah, finding ways to do it. Good stuff.
And Gibbo, you've been doing some stuff with Fitzy, haven't you? Fitzy's got you a little program set up, hasn't he?
Yeah, I've had a little bit to do with Fitzy. I was quite lucky because I've got a bit of a decent gym set up in my garage, so I just spent most of the lockdown in there. So with Fitzy helping me out with the program as well, it was kind of ideal. Got me, I think, in a good place for the season, like physically. So yeah.
No, good. And Jim, you've obviously the first couple of weeks we did Fitzy's classes on a sort of Tuesday, Thursday night for strength and conditioning stuff. And are you doing stuff personally with Fitz as well?
Yeah, he sent me through a program yesterday actually. So yeah, I've literally started this week. So yeah, it'll be good to get up and running with him as well.
No, it's good. I think the guys that have been on with Fitz in the week have done a lot of core strength work, and obviously building into the season. You know yourself as a bowler, lots of planking and things like that to make your core stronger. And then in terms of the batters, they've done lots of lunging and squats and different things like that. So in fairness, Fitzy's starting to nail it, and the boys are doing well on the Strava. So building into pre-season now, what's the sort of plan? You're going to have a busy university schedule as well if all the fixtures go to plan. Gibbo, what's your plans for the first sort of April May time? How's cricket looking for you?
Busy, really busy. I've this last week I've been getting through messages from all sorts of different people about different games and all. So realistically, if I want to play a game, I can play pretty much every day, which is ideal considering I've been stuck inside for the last few months. So I've got probably one of the busiest schedules for this time of year I think I've ever had. Obviously, Swansea have got loads of pre-season games. Then haven't heard much from the MCCU, but Cardiff Met have got a load of games, and then also I've been sent for a few dates for trialling with different counties. So
that's good. And Gibbo, that's something that obviously you're keen to get him in on, isn't it? Back into the county scene. Obviously involved at Notts for a number of years and did really well sort of in 2019. So I'm guessing that that's something that you want to sort of progress. And I know Glamorgan have shown some interest, and you're going to be involved with them early season, hopefully for a few months. Do you think the link with Swansea playing in South Wales and then also on trial with Glamorgan can help your sort of general form?
Yeah, massively for a number of reasons. Like obviously I won't have to travel back to Cornwall in between in the weeks, which is going to help me hugely. And also, from what I've heard, Swansea being a really good batting surface, counties who are looking to sign players, they don't really want to be signing players that get 30s and 40s. They want to be signing players that getting hundreds in the league. And I think a really good wicket is going to massively help that. So definitely playing for Swansea, I think could really help me in that area.
Yeah, you've touched on it there in terms of the friendlies we've got lined up. I think there's five first team friendlies lined up, and then there's 5 second team friendlies lined up, which gives lots of opportunity to our guys and things moving forward. And in terms of yourself, like you said, there's Swansea pre-season, there's Cardiff University cricket stuff to look forward to. There's trials. Glamorgan are starting their season earlier on with a smaller staff, so there's no reason why, if you hit the ground running and sort of put in some big performances early season, that that can sort of catapult you into a better position moving forward. Jim, in terms of your pre-season, bud, I've seen an email you've been selected in the minor county stuff as well, which is a nice boost for you after all the hard work you did October to December.
Yeah, no, lovely, really. It's nice to get a little bit of recognition for the work I've done, not just probably over the past year or through from like October to December, but probably over the past 3 years as well. Just through the work that I've done at home at Horsham and league cricket. So yeah, it's just nice to get that recognition, to be fair. First day, I think, is on the 4th of April, so I need to start getting training, otherwise I think I'm going to break down quite quickly. Just look after myself, but yeah, busy April, and yeah, hopefully fingers crossed it all goes well.
No, good stuff, bud. And like you said, you've had a really good couple of seasons at Horsham, which is your home club. And your numbers stack up really well. So I know the boys are really excited to see you for the first half of the summer with us at St Helens. It's a good wicket, good bounce and carry and stuff. And left armers are sort of gold dust these days. So there's no reason why, if you start the season well there and sort of break into that minor county setup, the doors open then to a lot of other areas. So no, that sounds really good. And Gibbo, in terms of your sort of plans and summer and stuff, how what would be a successful summer personally for you? Do you set yourself targets in terms of runs, or is it take it game by game or week by week with all these games you've got lined up?
I think I used to be a real big target setter, but actually I found that if it wasn't going so well, then I'd be aiming for runs and like stats almost. And I used to become like a real stat badger, and I used to really concentrate on that. So actually, in the last few years, I've sort of changed more to like my processes. So what I'm doing, if I'm playing well rather than if I'm scoring runs. So I don't think I have any specific goals. It's just trying to sort of stay in the moment, try and not get ahead of myself when I'm batting, and try and, when I get in, make some really, really big scores. That's the aims for me. I just think to cash in when I get in, as well as trying to just stay in the moment and not overthink anything.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. We had Joe Singh a couple of weeks ago on the podcast, and he very much was saying the same stuff about taking it game by game and contributing in those games. And I think that's probably something that maybe I didn't look at too much when I was younger. I looked at more stats, and I wanted to go, right, I want to score 600 plus runs in the league. I want to take 25 wickets. And that was I built everything around those bases. And then obviously the game by game thing, then I think you naturally will do that on a game day. So in terms of the processes, I think they're super important, especially, for a batsman who wants to sort of, try and push on and move up through the ranks. Whereas, for a bowler, you effectively get 60 balls on a Saturday to sort of make an impact. Whereas a batsman, potentially you could be out first ball, second ball of the game, and that's the end of your game. So processes for sure for batters. Jim, what about you, bud? Do you set yourself targets at the beginning of the seasons and stuff, or do you do the same sort of thing? I
think personally, I find it easy to set myself targets. I've usually been really relaxed before a season, and just said to myself, try and get wickets early in sort of the first like 5 or 10 overs, and I'll be quite happy. But now I'm sort of setting standards for myself to say, look, like, I want to be taking more wickets and more wickets and more wickets each year. So I think probably, because my season's split in two, I'd say probably and I've got so many games with different teams, it's difficult to put a number on the amount of wickets I want to take or whatever. But as long as I'm, like I said, as long as I'm taking wickets early in that sort of like the first 5 or 10 overs in that opening spell, then I think I'll be happy. And then obviously doing a job at the end as well, at the death, that'd be fantastic as well. So yeah, just not setting goals too far ahead of yourself, and just trying to stay sort of a little bit grounded, but also realizing that there is a level of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a level of pressure on your shoulders to take wickets, and you need to I need to grab hold of that. Especially when I was younger, that was something I wasn't great at. Was just trying to get a hold of that and try and understand that there's pressure on me to take wickets, and that is what my role is. So, yeah.
Is that obviously looking at your numbers and stuff for Horsham and things? I've seen that when we talk about stats and numbers, I love stats and numbers, as I'm sure you both know. And in terms of looking at the numbers, I see you do tend to sort of make big inroads with that new ball in the first 10 overs. So you do tend to take the top orders out. Is that probably your big strength? Do you think, is that your big strength with a new ball? Obviously, left arm, very dangerous. Is that something that you obviously pride yourself on?
Yeah, probably. That's probably one of the biggest threat. I think probably a part of my game that I've been weakest at, and it's something that I've been working a little bit with you, Brad, from October to December, was my bowling at the death, just making sure I get my length right and change up deliveries and stuff and slower balls. So yeah, no, definitely first 5 or 10 overs is like my strongest by far.
Yeah, and in terms of we did some stuff, didn't we? But obviously the two of you in October, November, and December, and then obviously we went into a lockdown again. Gibbo, was that? Did you find that time sort of beneficial? Because a lot of guys tend to, those months, October, November, December, tend to put the kit away and then pull it back out sort of January, February time. Did you get quite a bit out of that October, November, December period?
Yeah, massively, which is why it was. I think I spoke to you before. Why I was quite disappointed about the lockdown. I think around December time I had a couple of sessions where Jimmy was bowling me with the new ball, and I think it's probably some of the best I've actually felt in a long time. So I was actually pretty disappointed to stop it there, because I felt in a really, really good place to actually play the season in December, which hopefully will stand me in good stead now, because hopefully I'll be able to come back to that pretty quickly. But that period of time was really good for me. I think we simplified batting. I was just working on one particular thing, and I felt really good actually. Yeah, it's probably the best cricket I've been playing for a while. So for me it was hugely beneficial those couple of months.
It was good because I think we broke down quite a few things, didn't we? And made like you said, we made it simple, and then gradually over that sort of 6, 7, 8 weeks, we built up to the stage where you had all the footage on camera. You could watch yourself back later in the session. You could see the things you were doing well, not so well, things you wanted to work on. And I thought your balance and your stroke play during that stage, you obviously knew your game very well, and we quickly moved on to sort of front foot cover driving. That was probably a big area for me. After 2 or 3 sessions, you went from not playing a cover drive to actually opening up and freeing up the offside as well. So that in the space of 4 or 5 weeks, you completely sort of moved your game on to another level. Would that be fair, do you think?
Yeah, I think it was massive for me actually, that, because like I'd said to you before, if you ask me what my game is, I don't really play a cover drive, and I think that's not necessarily a negative, but when we train like that, I think I started opening up a little bit, because I felt my balance is in such a good place. I actually felt that I could transfer my weight back into the ball, and I could actually start hitting some balls through the covers a lot better than I have done in the past. So yeah, definitely that's fair.
And Jim, you were bowling at Gibbo, and obviously you wanted to do some work on your batting as well. What was your main things you wanted to work on in terms of batting?
Yeah, so mainly balance. I found that when I was sort of playing front foot shots and stuff, I was overbalancing. I was sliding away to the offside, and you helped me a lot with that, which was great. I saw massive progress over like this sort of 3 or 4 weeks. And I was at the MCCU trials. I was getting absolutely turned inside out by the bowling machine. So it was nice to sort of come back on a Monday and sort of work on the things that I was struggling with in those trials with you. And yeah, I felt so much better. Like what Gibbo said, I felt so much better at Christmas than probably I did at the end of last year. at the end of last summer. Sorry. So yeah, no, those are some of the things I've been working on.
And we in that period just before Christmas, Gibbo, you were facing Jim, you were facing Roman. Fitzy came to a couple of sessions. You faced Fitz. So have you had that? Obviously, working in the knot setup, you probably would have had it. But in terms of club cricket and stuff, have you had that sort of level of standard before, where those months you were actually facing guys bowling sort of 80 mile an hour?
No, it was. I actually spoke to people about this. How I suppose ridiculous it is how good the setup is at Swansea. You get some of those training sessions are as good as you're going to get anywhere. So it was ideal, really. And you get, like you said, you get 3 bowlers bowling decent pace. It's as good preparation as you'll get anywhere. I mean, even up with knots, it's as good as that, really. When we were training, it was really good, actually. And
Jim, obviously bowling with Roman and stuff. Were you sort of? Roman's quite an easy guy, isn't he, to talk to and sort of have a chat with. You wouldn't think he's a pro if he didn't have any kit on you and just had a general conversation with you. He's one of those easy going guys. Did you get some tips from him, and did you discuss a few bowling things with him during those sessions?
Yeah, it's always really nice to have someone like that at the sessions, because it's like another guy to look up to, really, and sort of pick their brains and stuff. So it was really nice to have him there, and Fitz as well, to be fair. Just all 3 of us, we sort of found ourselves working together at one point, trying to find ways to get Gibbo out, which was quite fun. But yeah, no, to have Roman there is great. And obviously, moving into the summer as well, it'll be nice to have him around, just to have a little bit more advice, another brain, really, to pick from. So yeah. Nice, bud.
And in terms of your home club then, so Horsham, you got a couple of county guys down there, isn't it? So who are the Sussex guys there then at Horsham?
Yeah, so we're really lucky at Horsham, and particularly in Sussex, because obviously here at South Wales, they all get allocated, so all the boys get from Glamorgan. But we've managed to keep hold of all of our lads. So we've had Will Beer, George Garton, who's probably not going to play as much this year because he's heavily involved now with Sussex. And then Tom Haynes, Tom Clark, and then we were really lucky to have Jofra just before he then kicked off and went and played for England and everything. So we're still really lucky to have those boys around. It's been really good to sort of learn off them. I've been at Horsham since I was sort of 11, 12. And Tom Haynes and Tom Clark have always been in the team in the Colts whilst we were growing up. So having those boys around and sort of like playing with them, like moving from like 14 cricket all the way up to first team cricket, like it was great just to learn off them, really, and and how professional they are in their game. They sort of take into Horsham games as well. So it's so nice. You just learn loads off them. And then obviously this year we've just signed Chris Nash as well, so he'll be playing for us, which will be great. Another great addition.
And with those additions, obviously you just named probably 3 or 4 really good. I'm guessing the standard then in the Sussex League would be very high with those guys playing, and overseas players as well. Did Horsham have any overseas players, or have they had overseas players while you've been involved?
Yeah, again, we've the contacts that we've had through sort of our chairman and through other contacts. We've been really lucky with the overseas that we've had in previous years. So I think the last 20 years we've had David Hussey, Matt Henry, and now Jofra, who are all sort of big name, high caliber names, and we've been really lucky in that aspect. And we sort of slid away from that over the past sort of, I'd say, 2 years, just because it's immensely expensive. So yeah, no, we've been really lucky in that aspect and had really good overseas. So yeah.
Good. And Gibbo, you obviously played cricket while you were at Notts. You were playing in the Notts League and things, and you're from Cornwall, and you've played in the Cornwall Premier League as well. Were there overseas? Obviously, there's overseas players in Cornwall. Were there overseas players in the Notts League as well?
Yeah, there was. Cornwall was massive for overseas when I was first down there, and then going up to Notts. It's a pretty competitive league, so if you don't have either a couple of good pros or overseas, it's tough. It is really tough. And we had a few good ones there. I was at Plumtree and we had a couple of real good ones play for us there.
It's interesting because on all of the podcasts we've done so far, I've asked a question about sort of overseas players, and I think nobody has nobody on any of them have said, oh yeah, it's a negative, that it's not worth it. For me, like playing in the Cornwall League and obviously playing with Penzance, and Truro had that Fayaz Faisal, and who's played 3 ODIs for India and scored 250s in 3 of that, but he only played 3 games, but he averages 55 in first class cricket. So it shows, in India, like the depth of players they've got. For someone like him to average 55 over 200 games, I think he played. He was 33 years old, played 3 ODIs, 250s for India, but couldn't play any more games because of the depth they had. So playing against someone like him, I thought actually lifted the standard. Every time teams played against Truro, that the standard lifted. And same with Penzance. We had Dill Blignut and Chad Fortune, who are both South Africans. And I just felt the standard lifted every time those guys were around, just with trainings, just with how we played, the energy they brought. And for me, I think the South Wales League have moved so many things forward over the last couple of years in terms of coloured kit, keeping up with the times with the power play rules, all of these things. I just hope maybe in a couple of years' time that the overseas player thing is looked at as a potential. Because we're quick enough, I think, to go over to countries like Gibbo. You've been overseas as well, haven't you? I think you went to New Zealand, did you?
Yeah, I've done New Zealand and Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, the links you get from there, like Penzance, Jack Paul ended up going back to Australia with Noonan, didn't he? Jackson Noonan, who actually was at Penzance. He was in our second team as an overseas player, and he actually went back. He went to to Australia, Melbourne, and came back a completely different character, like more grown up, like his cricket was better. So I think it is certainly something that we could sort of make use of here in Wales and actually get the standard of cricket better. In terms of sort of how the pre-season is going to go, is Jim, for you especially, Brad, as a fast bowler, your workloads are going to have to be, we've spoke about it over the last couple of weeks, really, about your fixtures and how many games you're going to play. Is that something that you're consciously thinking of, because it's just not to sort of overload?
Yeah, I think it's something I've been a little bit suspect for over the past couple of years. Is just not worrying about my body and just trying to bowl the whole time as fast as I can, really. And just, I think that's the same for a lot of young lads. They just completely forget about looking after their body, really, especially when you're only involved with club cricket and you're not really in a setup. I think if you're not in a setup and you're not being looked after, or being looked at least, you don't really notice it. So I think it's definitely something that I'm wary of, for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, we touched on it there. There's Swansea stuff, there's the university stuff, potentially minor county stuff, which is Saturday, Sunday, and then you play a couple of games midweek then for the uni as well. Gibbo, for a batter, it's probably the opposite, isn't it? If you're in good form and you've started off really well, you probably want to play as many games as you can as often as you can.
That's it, mate. Yeah, just bat. If you're as a batter, there's no, as a batter, especially a young batter, there's no better thing than just batting. So this year I'm just going to play as many games as I can and hope for the best, really, because it's hard to break down as a batter, really. So I feel for bowlers. I massively feel for you, Jimmy, mate. I really do. I feel for all of them, because people want to do what it's real hard to say to a bowler, I think, to go bowl 70% in this game, because as soon as you get in the competition, if you don't get competitive, then you probably shouldn't be playing. So it is tougher for any bowler at the moment.
That's a really good point, Gibbo. I think, like, for batters, we sort of can sit in, can't we, and sort of, we've got a bit of time, and if you're playing on good wickets as well, you sort of do have that advantage. Whereas if you're a fast bowler, asking, if you've bowled 10 overs on Saturday and then you play a minor counties game on Sunday and bowl another 10, and then you're back playing Tuesday, Thursday for the university, and they're expecting you to bowl 10 again, and then you start your week again, and then on Saturday, I mean, most county bowlers, fast bowlers, I think are bowling sort of between 20 and 30 overs max. Is it per week? Is that usually their type of workloads?
Yeah, I think a bowler's like, they're all quite individual. I remember Luke Fletcher, he can just bowl all day, every day for, all year. But other bowlers, they break down a little bit easier. So, but, in setups like that, I think they're monitored by physios, S&Cs. People know them down to an absolute T. So it's a lot easier for them, because they get a coach saying, look, you can't bowl. Whereas if you're in club cricket, it's completely up to you, and you're not going to turn up to a Saturday and say, actually, I'm only going to bowl 3 overs. So I do think it's actually really tough for for seam bowlers, especially coming up at the moment.
Jim, is that something is going to be completely new to you sort of this year in terms of how your body feels? And as I said, we've talked about it briefly of, if we're playing Saturday, Sunday, it might be a case of bowling 4 or 5 overs on Saturday and 4 or 5 overs on the Sunday, just so we manage your workload. So we're not completely sort of blowing you out the ground. And then by the time you get to May, you've got shin splints or you've got calf strains or side strains, and potentially out for the summer. Is that something that is new to you, or?
I'd say so. Yeah, probably. Like Gibbo, I spent about 6 months over in NZ about 2 years ago now. And I just bowled and just bowled myself into the ground. And I came to about May, June of the next English summer, and I broke down. My ankle went. So yeah, no, it's definitely something. It's definitely new to me. Yeah, because the amount of teams that I'm playing for this year is more than I've ever played for in a summer before. So it's definitely something I'm very, very wary of. So yeah.
So I mean, you could. In terms of like training as well, I mean, we haven't chucked training in there as well. If you're doing a lot of running at the moment, which is brilliant, and you're keeping your body ticking over, which is nice. So, something will have to give, won't it? If you're playing, that much, and then you're doing your running as well and keeping fit and trainings and stuff, that, managing a workload, plus you've got your uni work and different things going on. So, I mean, you've got a lot of things to manage building into the summer. Would that be fair, do you think?
Yeah, definitely, especially with sort of the last 3 months leading up to season, we haven't had a chance to do any S&C because of all the lockdown measures and stuff. So, and no bowling or whatsoever. So, just trying to find a way to get around it really, and find ways to make sure that I'm as fit as I can be, and not sort of overload the old running and knacking my knees before the start of the year. So yeah.
Yeah, no, good. And in terms of Horsham and Campbell and Plumtree, when you were there, Gibbo, what's their sort of April usually look like? Do they have quite a few friendlies lined up, and do they sort of hit the ground running then when the league season starts, or is it a bit more relaxed and chilled out, or how? Gibbo, what's the general look there?
Yeah, Campbell are quite relaxed. I think they only usually have 1 or 2 friendlies to warm them up. I think Plumtree used to have quite a few more. They used to be similar to Swansea in the fact that they like pre-season games, and they try and get a few in, which is good. But different teams work well, different ways. Some teams don't like playing all their games early, and other teams like getting a lot of games in. But I think this year specifically, I think pre-season games are going to really help everyone, because we have a train, so having 5 early games is going to be massive for us, because if other teams are having 1 or 2, then so for some people that'll be 1 or 2 hits or 1 or 2 bowls that times they've bowled, and for Swansea we'll have had 5 hits or five spells bowling, which I think will be massive for us.
Yeah, Jim, Horsham, are they quite proactive in terms of pre-season and stuff?
I think similar to what Gibbo said, like Horsham are fairly relaxed. We've got a couple of pre-season games, I think on the 18th and 24th, I think. And a couple of second team games here and there. Yeah, so we've got nets sorted for halfway through April and stuff that the boys will go to. Yeah, so fairly similar to Gibbo, really quite chilled. Good.
And I mean, on the podcast, the first one we did when we spoke to sort of Harry and Fitz, we said about if you didn't, most clubs pack their sort of kit away for the winter months, sort of October, November, December. Nobody gets their kit out, and then sort of February time, March, people start getting their kit bags out. So would you guys had sort of 3 months building into Christmas, and I know we've had this sort of 2-3 month break now, but do you think you're naturally ahead of where you'd want to be, even though we've had this 3 month lockdown? Would you say the work you put in October, November, December has sort of stood you and put you in a better position moving into 2021?
Yeah, definitely.
One of you jump in.
I'll go. Gibbo can go after me. I'll go. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%. Even sort of not just from like a fitness point of view, from all that, like you said, from all the running that I've been doing, I'd say technically the fact that I've got sort of 30 or 40 overs into my body before Christmas already, I think stands me in really good stead.
Yeah, I'm similar. I think for me, what's really good is because I felt like as well as I've played in a while, I know my body knows what that feels like, and so when I get back to training and back to playing games, hopefully it'll be a quicker process, like finding that again. And I understand what makes me play well, or what's made me play well. So hopefully that sort of stuff will come back to me a lot quicker than if I, hadn't done any of it. So I think definitely it would have 100% set me in a much better stead than if I didn't do it.
And Gibbo, as soon as hopefully, fingers crossed, on Friday we get an announcement from the Welsh Minister about potentially opening up sports like in England I think England is opening back up, is it about the 29th, I think, or the first week of April for team sports. Hopefully it's the same in Wales. If you come your first net session, how would you approach it? Would you like sort of underarm throwdowns type thing, or how would you prepare? Would you rather go on a bowling machine for a couple of hours and hit balls, or would you rather sort of face underarm ball? How would you prepare for sort of these games?
It's an interesting question, because I think it's slightly different this year because of how sort of short the training block will be until we play the games, because the MCCU, we're meant to play Derby, not Derby, we're meant to play Glamorgan on the 29th of this month. So hopefully, like you said, we get some sort of announcement, we can get training. So I think it'll be, a mix of underarms, which I've actually been doing a fair bit at home, but underarms just to get a rhythm going, and then getting straight into the nets, because I'm going to be facing bowlers in a couple of weeks' time, so I need to get in there and face as many balls off bowlers as I can, I think, and just sort of try to switch that, brain from sitting down at home to how am I going to build an innings? What is this like? What is the bowler going to bowl to me? How am I going to, survive this spell and stuff like that? And I think that's the sort of stage of the coming season that we're at, to try and really switch my brain on to facing bowlers.
Yeah. And are you a big, I'd say if we were in normal season now, so over the last couple of years, when you've had cricket season, how do you usually prep before games? Are you one of those guys who likes to hit a lot of balls, or do you like to just chill out and on a match day type thing in the morning? What's your sort of plans?
So what I used to do is I used to get to the ground. I don't know why I did this, but it worked for me. I used to get to the ground first, and then with the coach, I'd hit for 20 minutes, something like that. Have a real good hit, and then just chill for the next hour or so while everyone else does their work, and then get on with the game. Obviously, they do the team warm up, but I think I like to get there, hit, have a bit of a break, and then go out to bat. I don't think I like particularly doing them too close together.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. And I remember I used to be quite similar. I prefer to get to the ground nice and early, hit my balls, do the fielding stuff, and then have that sort of half an hour, 20 minutes before the start play to just have the downtime and just relax and maybe have a coffee and just sort of get changed, chill out, take your time instead of rushing. So that's fair. Jim, so obviously involved with Wales this year in terms of the minor counties. I know early season is lots of T20 cricket and one-day cricket. If involved in that, how would you sort of prepare on a morning of a game? What would you be looking to sort of just get the ball in good areas, or would you be sort of looking at slower balls and Yorkers? How would you sort of just prep?
I think something just off the bat, really. From the first, straight in the morning, I'll always have a massive breakfast, always. And as soon as I get to the ground, just a massive stretch, really. I always find myself quite tight. And just, working on bowling really as full as possible, really. Because like I said earlier, that's my biggest asset, is getting the ball nice and full and swinging into the right-hander away from the left-hander. So sort of definitely just working on my areas and being as full as I can, really, and give the ball as much chance to do as much off the wicket and in the air as possible.
No, that's fair enough. And you did say earlier on, your main strength is early on trying to take wickets. I think in T20 cricket, that's the key to sort of break the back of an innings, isn't it? If you take wickets early on, it just stops things happening in the sort of middle to late overs. So fair play. And I mean, we haven't really spoken much about it, but Swansea's team this year on paper is very, very strong. Obviously, you guys have never played in the South Wales Premier League, but looking at the list of players, you got the guy Steph Roberts, who was the leading run scorer in the Premier League and was involved with Glamorgan Academy and played second team and got hundreds in second team of minor counties. You've got Conor Miles, who Gibbo, he played down in Cornwall with Truro and won the Premier League down there. He's played minor counties. Jake Roberts, who's opened the bowling for Wiltshire for sort of 7-8 years in minor counties cricket. Kazi, who you both know, was involved with Glamorgan, and I think he took 8 for 32 in a second team game against Sussex and was leading wicket taker in twos cricket in 2019. So, in terms of our team this year is going to be very, very strong. Is that something that you guys have sort of been involved in? Have you been involved in very strong teams with that sort of caliber as well, Gibbo? Is that something that looking forward to, and there's not so much maybe emphasis on you to score all the runs to sort of keep win a game for your club?
Yeah, definitely. I think Plumtree were fairly strong when I was at Plumtree, but we always sort of lacked in the batting, and the same at Campbell. And no disrespect to them, there was quite a heavy reliance on me to score quite a bulk of the runs, and I think it's a great challenge, and it's really good for that. But I think it's going to be really nice to actually know we've got some depth, and without sounding too selfish, you can just concentrate on yourself and just concentrate on how I'm going to score runs rather than having to play the situation too much, as in I don't have to concentrate on what other people are going to do or how the tail might face up against someone, a bowler or something. I can just sort of concentrate on my processes and scoring as many runs as I can. And on top of that, is when I was at those clubs, I think I batted in some pretty weird positions for me, because they'd say, we don't want to lose a cluster of wickets, so you're going to bat 4 or 5 in club cricket, and that's not really where I bat. So it'll be nice to actually just be able to bat in a position I batted my whole life, and then do that through the year and not have to think too much about other people. I can just sort of concentrate on myself.
No, that's really good points, Bud. And I think for where you want to go, you want to get back into that professional environment. So there is an aspect of you've got to look after yourself, haven't you? And I think if you're happy in a position, at the top of the order, playing in a team where you don't have to worry about if we've lost 4 wickets, we potentially are going to get bowled out. It's a case of we bat really deep. We've got lots of guys in there who can rotate the strike, knock it round, score a run of ball, not put too much pressure on you. I think naturally playing on a good wicket as well is all of these things are tick boxes for you, aren't they?
But yeah, I think on that, so Notts was very similar in the like Swansea. I could just bat, and I think because of that, you end up winning a hell of a lot more games for your team, because once you get in and you're not concentrating too much on other people, you can then really concentrate on win the game at points. And I think sometimes it can be really, really tough to do that when you've got a million and one other things in your head about how you're going to survive for your team. I think, and when you're in that situation, it can be hard. So having a real good depth, and I can just concentrate, getting myself in, and then from there concentrate on how I'm going to win as many games for Swansea as I can. And I think that's going to be real good for me, actually.
And Jim, let's flip it for the bowlers type of thing. Is it something that you're looking forward to having, bowlers who are going to be bowling at the other end with you that are going to be hitting the seam and not scuffing up both sides of the ball, which, in terms of the ball swinging and staying new and sort of you being threatening with that new ball early on? Is that something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, just looking forward to working in a team, really. Obviously with Roman as well, Fitz, the other teamers that are around Swansea as well. It's just nice to work as an asset, really, and work together to work on the batters out. I'm just looking forward to being in sort of that cluster of sort of 4 or 5 of us and working together, really. Yeah,
no, 100%. And it's definitely going to be, I keep saying I'm really looking forward to the season starting, and I've got my fingers crossed Friday. We get a good news and we can sort of get the plans really in place then, because I think everything's sort of in place now, and all we need now is a tick to say, yeah, you can start, you can do this date. And I think guys will be itching to get outside, especially after sort of only playing half the summer last year or even a quarter of the summer. So, boys, thanks for joining me. Brilliant, really enjoyed catching up, and hopefully we'll get some pre-season games in the next couple of weeks.
Ideal.
Cheers, lad.
Cheers, Brad.
Cheers,